Good morning, you bad, beautiful bitches. Today is Wednesday morning. Banger for you. Business banger. Back-to-back B's. B squared. Business banger. Boom! We had James Oliver on, CEO and founder of Atlas Bar. You can find these bars nationwide. Probably the most nutritious, delicious bar on the market. Okay? We taste test it right out of the gate. An unreleased peanut butter and jelly bar. Put that in your suck hole. You're going to love this episode. We talk business, love. We get into all kinds of ups and downs of entrepreneurship. Sit back, relax, prepare to be dazzled. This is a No Limits podcast. Welcome to the show. What are these two?
So you got peanut butter raspberry.
Yep.
And you got dark chocolate almond. So very, very different flavor profiles. Peanut butter raspberry is supposed to basically simulate peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And dark chocolate almond is just like straight up brownie flavor. So,
and these are unreleased as of yet.
Or soon. That version is unreleased. Yeah, we haven't yet produced those. We will for the first time next week.
Let's go. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Hell
so
yeah.
You'll be one of the very first. Less than 5 people have tried those.
Whoa.
So, yeah.
It might almost be the only right way, Hurley, to try a sample of these now, right? Start it off. Which one do you? Let's see. This is the peanut butter and jelly one, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, if you are a fan of peanut butter and jelly, then you would definitely like that. And then the dark chocolate is just like that's one of our top sellers, just because it's tough to go wrong with dark chocolate and almonds.
Yeah, now we're talking. And correct me if I'm wrong here. Did I hear Mom is the chemist of the group there?
She is, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's the one in the lab actually making all these recipes. She has made hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of these recipes at this point.
Wow. And is this just like at home in the kitchen? Like most moms cook banana bread. Your mom's like,
She does the banana bread too.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Hurley, do you want another side of this?
Yeah, so that's why I tagged her to help me with this, because she's just phenomenal with anything culinary. And I had this idea and I was like, if anybody can help bring this to life, I think it's her. So she had no experience making bars before this. She got into this. We just started learning it together. And now at this point, she's probably one of the best in the country at making bars.
This is a PB&J sandwich in your
like
mouth.
One of those like Smuckers things.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Give me the nutrition facts on these. I know it's like 20 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar. Is that right?
20 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar. I think that one has like 4 grams of net carbs, 10 grams of fiber, about 200 calories. Nothing artificial. It's sweetened with monk fruit, all clean.
Those are great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we tried to check every box nutritionally, like everything you could ever want. And then ingredient-wise, like nothing that you would want in there, nothing that you wouldn't want in there. So yeah, nothing artificial.
I like that a lot. Wow. And where did this idea, Atlas Bar, come about? Like how old were you when you this was like 2017 this started, right? Did I read that right?
Yeah. So 2017 is when we sold the first Atlas Bar. The idea actually started, funnily enough, when I went to China. So
whoa.
Yeah, I studied a couple languages in college. I studied Arabic first, and then I switched halfway through college to study Mandarin Chinese.
Wow.
And my reasoning for studying both those was I just wanted to basically study the hardest languages.
I think you chose statistically the two hardest languages.
Yeah.
Isn't Mandarin's like 500 characters, right?
I think it's a few more than that, but what makes it challenging, that's very different than any language that we're familiar with, is that there's no alphabet. So you can't sound things out, and it's basically pictures that you need to memorize, and if you don't know a character, it's just very difficult to understand.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Can you speak both Arabic and Mandarin currently?
If I had like a day or so to brush up on it, I think I could get back to conversational. But it's been a couple of years. Unfortunately, I don't get to flex my Arabic or Mandarin too much in the protein bar world.
Yeah, that's true. What's hello in both Mandarin and Arabic?
Ni hao is in Mandarin, and then you can say it a few different ways in Arabic. You can say assalamu alaikum, ahlan. Yeah, you can say a couple different
that's
ways.
where that comes from? There was like a rapper years ago that would say like, it's assalamu alaikum, right?
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
It's not a direct translation. I forget what the direct translation is, but it's not exactly hello, but it's used as a greeting.
Gotcha. wasn't a rapper. Christopher Big Black Boykin from Rob and Big used to say that to Rob all the time. I'd be like,
Really?
I would be like
That's
11
what it
years
is.
old and be like, Assalamu alaikum. Be like, what is that kid saying?
Yeah. So I started with Arabic, went to Chinese, and then throughout my college career, I'd gotten more into nutrition, health, wellness, and I'd started doing like ultra marathon, Ironman type stuff, and really like kind of the direction that I was going in the kind of the framework that I was working on from a nutritional and fitness perspective. And going over to China, I was a bit like wary of kind of losing that because I was going into a foreign environment. I was going to be staying with a live-in Chinese family. So,
Was this school that brought you over there, or this was to pursue like somewhat of a athletic dream / trainer?
No. So this was going over there to study Mandarin.
Oh, okay.
To, like,
Gotcha.
Further my
Specifically for
immersion.
the language. Yep.
Yeah. So I had the opportunity to go over there, and I lived with a Chinese family. I was going to be there for 6 months.
Right.
The family spoke zero English.
Wow.
So, and at this point, I'd had a year and a half, which isn't a ton.
Yep.
Like you're not fluent at that point. So I was a bit like, I don't know if I'll be able to ask for food.
When you first pulled up, was the first few interactions like just brutal because they're looking at you like, how do we communicate with this kid?
Yeah, pretty much. I remember riding in their car and they were trying to figure out what to feed me as if I was like a puppy that they had just picked up.
A newborn?
Yeah, and the only word that they could say, they were like, pizza, like, can we give you that? And that was like my first communication with them. Yeah, I was like, that'll do. That'll do for now. But yeah, I definitely felt way in over my head. But going over there, before I went over there, I was like, all right, I know that the diet that I'm going to be on is going to be very different than what I'm used to. And so I was trying to think of a way to somewhat keep the like nutritional regimen that I had been on in place when I went over there. And so I was like, all right, I need something that is going to be shelf stable for at least 6 months. It has to have clean ingredients. It has to have good nutrition. It has to be something that tastes good, that I can feel comfortable eating every single day.
Right.
And the only thing that checked all those boxes I was like, all right, it has to be a nutrition bar. That's like the only thing that fits that criteria. It also has to be convenient and portable. So I was like, all right, cool. Let me just find a nutrition bar that I can bring with me, a protein bar that will check all those boxes. And I couldn't find one. There was not a single bar, despite the hundreds of them out there that exist. There wasn't a single one that nutritionally was sound and was also made with clean ingredients. And so I was like, all right, I guess I'll just try and make some and bring them over there. So that's when I tagged my mom. I was like, Mom, can you help me make a few hundred of these things? So that's what we did, made a few hundred of them, put them into Tupperware containers, had them in my suitcase, brought them over there. And I used those to kind of like supplement the bao buns and the rice that I was eating over there.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
When you first came to Mom, was Mom fully accepting of this, or was she like?
Yeah, she was like, sure, why not? Yeah, I'll help you out. So I went over there, literally just had like dozens of these Tupperware containers with me and had a blast over there. Absolutely loved it. One of the best decisions I ever made. And then I came back and I missed the bars. I didn't have them anymore because I went through them all. And I was like, I think that there's still not anything that exists that like checks all those boxes. And I really think that like this is something that's worth sharing with other people. So at this point, it was my senior year in school and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do once I was going to finish school. And so I was like, I think I'm going to give this a shot, like put some money to it, work my senior year to kind of bring this together. And worst case scenario is after I graduate, I launch it. Maybe it doesn't go anywhere, but at least I'll have learned a ton in the process of putting a business together and launching it. So that's what I did. And I spent my senior year like kind of pulling the branding together, finding the manufacturer that could help me make it, locking in the formulas. And then by the time I graduated, I had an order of, I think, 5,000 bars that was en route, like on graduation day. And
back to you?
Going to, Boston.
Nice.
Yeah, because I had to make the decision early on whether we were going to try and make them, because you can either, when it comes to something like a food product, you can either choose to self-manufacture it, which you have more control over it.
Yep.
But there's also kind of not the distraction, but you're a manufacturer at that
The
point.
labor of it alone is
Yeah.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can either go that route, or you can go the route of I'm going to find a manufacturer who their business is to manufacture.
Right.
They're experts at this.
Yep.
I'm going to give them the recipe that I want them to make, and then they're going to make it for me. They're going to worry about the production of it, the packaging of it, basically turning raw materials into finished goods.
Right.
And that was the direction that I went because I didn't trust us to be able to manufacture a product ourselves.
Mom's firing up all ovens in that house.
Yeah.
Book clubs are now bake-offs.
Exactly.
This is crazy that you're a senior in college doing this. Spring semester senior year for most college students is like an absolute joke. You know, it's parties, it's slip and slides. I took scuba diving spring
As
of
a
senior
course?
year. They had it as an elective up there.
Really?
I was like done my major courses. I was like there at my college credits.
That's
I
unreal.
needed like one more elective. So like I think I had one business class and scuba diving.
Did you get like scuba certified?
Oh yeah,
from it?
yeah,
Really?
full. Yeah, so I am a
That's awesome.
level 1 basic scuba diver. So I can go up to 100 feet.
And where was this?
This is in Winnipesaukee. So I went to Plymouth State.
dang.
And at the time, it actually would be, this would be like, you come back from Christmas break,
Yeah.
you start in the pool, and then it was shortly after that, you're in water, full hood on, full wetsuit, and you'd go, at the time, we'd go like 30 feet down, and it's disgusting in there.
This is in Winnipesaukee.
This is in Winnipesaukee. Yeah, this is like early spring. It's cold as all hell.
Yeah.
If we were swimming next to each other, 30 feet down, I can't see you.
Really?
It's crazy. I could see you at like probably 15. You probably have 3 feet of visibility at 15 feet.
Yeah.
30, you get below like the permafrost line, and it's like swimming in oil.
How deep does Winnipesaukee go?
I think the middle is like 300
Oh,
plus
wow.
feet. Yeah, it's deep. In the middle, we would check out some shipwrecks that were probably,
They're shipwrecks?
yeah. Lady of the Miss is the biggest one on Winnipesaukee. It's an old smokestack, old steam engine.
Dang.
You can go swim around the smokestacks. I didn't do it. You can go down through the smokestacks. They're probably the stacks are probably, but if you put our 2 chairs together, you know, so you can
You just descend.
you can slip through.
that's
Yeah,
tight.
I was like,
I don't know about that.
still learning. So I'll come back later and do that. You know, but so for you to do all this in college is crazy. You know.
Yeah, I was pretty locked in at that point. I was training for half Ironman while I was doing that. I was definitely not in like the senior spring mode
Yeah.
that I think a lot of people are in. I was ready to like to kind of turn the page
had the
and to like
business
get
bug.
out there. Yeah, I was kind of biting at the. Yeah, I was chomping at the bit to like
Yeah.
get out of school and to start moving.
Is this in your family? Like, does mom, dad, relatives, is everyone coming from like an entrepreneurial background where you knew this was an option? Or was this just you seeing a nutrition gap and trying to fill that void?
No, I think I'm the only one. So I'm from a fairly large family. I've got 7 people total, and I think
Yep.
I'm the only one that's really gone the entrepreneurial.
Wow,
route.
good for you.
Yeah. I just always was very, very taken by the idea of having control over your own destiny.
Yes.
And
Yep.
entrepreneurship just seemed by far and away the best path to make that happen. And yeah, 21, 22 years old, I figured that the best time to take risks is now, because as you get
100%.
older, you're only going to get more obligations, more commitments, and it's only going to become harder and harder to take risks as you get older, as you get a mortgage, a family, other financial and relationship obligations. And yeah, at 22, you're unburdened. You can afford to make mistakes, take risks. And even if I had spent 2, 3, 4 years doing it, I end up at 25, 26,
Right.
and I
Right.
have a hell of a story, a lot of experience.
100%.
And yeah, a lot.
That
to
is
show
so
for it.
well put. That's like the greatest life and business advice one can give out right there.
I'll say it's definitely scary though. Like I remember my senior spring, and my girlfriend, my fiance now, my girlfriend at the time, she was like asking me like, are you like nervous about
Yep.
like, because it's just kind of the abyss, because once you graduate and then you don't have anything lined up,
Right.
you're just kind of like,
And all your buddies
What
are
am I gonna
like,
do?
oh, I'm working at blah, blah, blah.
yeah,
But-
exactly. Yeah, you see
Yeah.
all these other people, they're all going to these prestigious jobs, and then you're just like, I got 5,000 bars heading my way. I have somewhat of an idea of what
Right.
I'm going to do, but like, I got to make this work and it's all on you. And it's
100%.
both, it's both scary, but it's also empowering because it's all on you, which means that it's all on you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you are the one that determines whether or not it succeeds. And for some people like that.
Yeah.
And some people do not like that.
Were you I feel like you got a couple options coming out of school. Like, were you I'm going to burn the boats and go, I'm going to receive these 5,000 bars and I'm going to become successful at this or die trying? Or did you have like I call it like the eject button. Like, hey, if this doesn't work out, I could go into sales or I could go into, I know you're probably, were you certified at that time with training or nutrition, or did that come after school?
That was another thing I did my senior year. I decided to get my sports nutritionist certification. So I did that, I think January of my senior year. While I was doing my Ironman training to kind of like supplement that. So that was part of it as well. But I did have like kind of a backup plan. So my backup plan, as I mentioned with the languages, like I've just, for whatever reason, if something sounds hard to me, it makes me want to do it.
Yeah. Yep.
And so my thought was like, okay, if this doesn't work out, something that has always appealed to me a little bit is the military side of things.
Yep,
so
totally.
I'm going to try this. And if it doesn't work, I feel like I'll find that out fairly quickly within like a year or two. And then if that's the case, I'll probably look at doing something like the military for my 20s. And I was prepared to kind of have that as a backup.
Smart.
Yeah.
And people must be looking at you crazy. Like we were saying off air, I'm in the product space is such a like gamble. Like it's a total toss up, especially like I'd probably argue fitness, coffee, probably real estate as like an agent or a broker is probably the most like diluted in they're kind of a dime a dozen. Like there's people everywhere, and so to launch like a product, how did you keep and there might not be negative voices, but how did you keep those like negative voices internally or from others kind of at bay? Like when we launched Dangerously Caffeinated, you tell mom and dad, or we're in the same boat, by the way, with the fiance. So congratulations. I got some follow-up questions for you on that. How do you, as you're telling friends and family and they're looking at you like you're insane, how did you keep those voices kind of at bay?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I did for one of my senior year classes, it was an entrepreneurial finance course. And for that like term project, one of the things you had to do was basically put together a full business plan for like a hypothetical business with like business forecasts, business model, all of that stuff. Nice. It was like 40 pages. And so I used that as an opportunity to kind of lay out the groundwork for Atlas. And my professor, he's like a Harvard Business School professor. So he's a very smart dude. And I think I got like an A on it, but his comment was, this is an extremely crowded space, and like underlined like extremely crowded like 10 times.
You're like, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. And this was like a guy much smarter and more experienced than me telling me that like this is like probably not the best industry for you to try and start something in. And I don't know. I mean, it helps that I was a super consumer, am a super consumer of the category. So I really understand kind of like, where the competitors are and where the gaps are. And so my conviction that I think that there really is a space here for something like this to exist kind of overrode and helped me deal with like the feedback from others who I knew were very well intentioned and very intelligent, but may not just understand or may not just see the opportunity in the same way that I did. And I still figured that like, even if they are right, again, worst case scenario is I do this for a year or two and I learn a ton from it. And I think that I would learn more from doing this than I would from any other opportunity. Totally. So if I tried, if I did go into, I don't know, say some finance or sales position, I might like have something solid on my resume. I might be making a solid paycheck, but the experience that I'm going to get from trying to start my own business and learning everything that goes along with that is going to be more valuable to me in the long run
100%.
than just jumping into some 9 to 5 that makes me feel more secure.
Yeah. Did I hear Harvard? Where'd you go to school?
I went to Tufts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this professor, this was like,
Gotcha. I was like, is this a Harvard business?
No.
I was going to curtsy to you. I was like, wow.
No, he was, there's like an entrepreneurship program at Tufts that at the time was like starting up, and he was, I believe, splitting his time between Harvard Business School and then teaching some of these courses at Tufts. So we are fortunate enough to have him as one of our professors.
Yeah. What was the first inkling? You get the 5,000, you graduate.
Yeah.
You got the 5,000 bars in.
Yeah.
What was the first plan of attack?
Yeah. So my initial business plan, well, first of all, I remember I had to go pick them up, and I just picked them up like in my parents' car because
they're on like a pallet.
Yeah,
just
and
like
I had to, we didn't have like a truck, so I had to take them off the pallet, put them all into the trunk, and then drive them back. And I decided to move after graduation back to my parents' house because I wasn't going to pay myself anything.
Right.
So I was just like, I just got to keep my living expenses basically at zero.
So smart.
And so I remember putting them all into my parents' dining room, just like stacks of boxes, and just staring at them being like, I don't know how I'm going to
Yeah.
This looks like so much stuff, and like I don't have like there's no pre-orders.
Right. And there was no website yet, right? Like there's nothing.
I had built a website my senior spring. I'd gotten that set up, ready to go, but it's one thing to have a website. You still need to drive people to it.
100%.
So now you need some mechanism for driving traffic to the site. And so I knew that I didn't have budget for spending money on like paid ads or Google, Facebook. I didn't have the money to do that. So what I did instead was, okay, I know that there are about like 150, 200 different gyms in the Boston area. And if I can basically go around to these gyms, get the product in there, sample the product there, I think that I could at least prove out the concept and see whether or not there's some product market fit here. So that was basically my business plan. I started out loading up the back of my Prius, driving around to all these CrossFit gyms, just walking in the front door, being like, hey, I am a like young dude. I started this bar company. I'd love to just like set up a table, get feedback from your members. And that's what I did. I sampled the product. People loved it. They started buying it. That led them to the site. That got some initial traction. And once I went through that initial 5,000, I was like, all right, now I got to order 10,000.
Wow. Yep.
And then it just started kind of picking up from there. But that gave me the initial proof of concept.
Yeah. The clarification.
Okay, yeah. This is, I think there's some momentum here. And the other thing that I actually did before I placed the order that gave me additional conviction is I just cold emailed a survey to all these gym owners, like back in like the winter before I placed the actual order.
Right.
And I didn't have the product yet physically, so I described it like conceptually. I was like, this is what it would be. And I asked like, first of all, how much would you be willing to pay for this?
Right.
Just to like see if I was in the realm of possibility in terms of where I was thinking of pricing it. And then the other thing that I did was ask, would you be willing to, would you consider purchasing this? And I got like 80 responses, which is a lot considering I just like did a cold email.
100%.
Like the email I sent was like, hey, I'm a student and I'm doing this like project. Can you just like take a minute to fill this out? And 100% of people said they'd consider purchasing it.
Wow.
So that was another proof point that gave me the confidence to be like, okay, I don't have the product yet, but a lot of people seem like they would consider buying something like this. So I'm going to use, and the way that I got the money, by the way, to get the initial 5,000 bars was from Ubering. So,
oh, no way. Really?
So I was doing that my senior year too.
Oh,
I'd wake up at
go.
4 a.m. before classes. I would Uber. So I lived in Somerville because that's where Tufts
driving
is.
Drunk idiots who are just getting out of their house parties.
Yeah. I've got, at this point, I think I've given like somewhere north of 3,000 Uber.
Oh, Uber rides, what's your Uber rating? What's the?
It's 5.
Oh, okay, here we go.
It's 5.
I'd expect nothing less from a man like you. Wow, that is incredible.
Yeah. So that's how I got the initial funding to launch it.
That's unbelievable. So it's you, mom. Here's a question every business now faces. You're getting some traction, right? How do you now scale this? I know you just said you jumped from 5 to 10,000 bars. You were going into gyms around, the Massachusetts area. When were you like, okay, because you're now Atlas is nationwide.
Yeah.
How did it go from, kind of the 617, if you will, of Boston to nationwide? How'd you scale this company?
Yeah, so I always knew that what I was doing with the gyms wasn't going to be able to scale because there's only so many gyms I can go to in a day. And so I was always kind of using that as the proof of concept to really, really flesh out the idea and make sure that it had legs before I invested more time and money into it. So I knew that e-commerce was going to be the way to do it because you can scale to literally millions of dollars in sales with a very lean team and lean
100%.
Infrastructure.
Yep.
And so that was the direction. Once I spent that initial year, like 2017 into 2018, kind of proving out the concept, that's when I started focusing more on the e-commerce side of things. And that's when things really started to scale and we saw some really serious growth. So the first year, 2017, which was a partial year because that was when I had first graduated and then been going around to these gyms.
Right.
I think we did like 39,000 in sales.
Yep.
And within the next 2 years, we had broken over $1 million within.
Let's go.
Yeah, just through e-com. So e-com is really where the play was.
From 49,000 year one.
39.
39.
I couldn't reach 40. Almost got there.
What would you say, year 2, year 3? Because that is tremendous growth to go from 39 to $1 million. Was it like year 1, 39, year 2, 100, 150?
No.
Or was it just
year
exploded?
Year two was like between 600 and 700. And then year 3 was getting close to like $1.5 million, I think.
That's insane. Yeah. And all e-com pretty much.
Yeah. The majority of that was e-com, like 90%, maybe 90+%.
And where were you marketing at the time? Were you just heavy on social?
A lot of it was social. A lot of it was, paid online marketing. I was still definitely doing a lot of the in-person.
Right. A lot of the pop-ups and gyms and stuff.
And that is where, to this day, that a lot of our most loyal customers are still from that kind of.
Is that right?
Days. Yeah. Like we, I was looking the other day, I think one of our highest value customers, he's placed like over 100 orders in the past 5 years, like every single month.
Yep.
Every single month for 5 years has placed, actually more than that. And he was from those early days. So
wow.
Yeah, we've kept a lot of the people. A lot of people are very it surprised me how loyal the people, our customers, have been.
Which shows the proof of the bars themselves.
Yeah.
Like if it was garbage, you could probably get the initial sale.
Yeah.
And probably not a reorder,
Yeah, and I can tell you that if that is the case with any brand or anything that you're working on, it's not going to work.
Yeah, 100%.
It's all in the repeat sale. Yeah.
That's insane. What's the biggest hurdle now you're facing? You scaled up over $1 million in gross revenue.
Mm-hmm.
What are you now? You're across the country.
Yeah.
This would be a full circle moment. You come out with an Atlas, all in Mandarin, of course, that you write yourself on the bar. Would you ever go overseas? Is that a market you want to tap into, like in Asia, or just dominating the US is kind of top priority?
I think it's a matter of timing. I think overseas, there's obviously, the majority of people in the world live overseas.
Yeah, 100%.
We only got like 350 million in the US and the other, whatever, 8 billion are not in the country. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity outside of the country. But we still, even though we've made a lot of progress, like we're still an absolute minnow in this category.
Right.
Like
in terms of like market share.
Yeah, in terms of market share, we're low single digits.
Yep.
So there's really no reason, when there's still so much opportunity domestically,
100%.
There's just really no reason to look internationally,
right,
when there's just still so much to be done domestically. So I think down the line that absolutely is a possibility, but for the foreseeable future, it makes more sense just to focus on the US. Yeah.
And is the team now still you, mom, and basically your co-packers / distributors?
Yeah, we got a couple more people at this point. So I think total headcount it's somewhere around 10, and I don't know the exact number because we have a number of like fractional folks that we work with that there are certain things that you definitely need support with, but you don't need like 40 hours a week.
Right.
So like one of those things would be like email marketing. Definitely want somebody who's really good in that seat, but I would rather pay kind of a premium for somebody on an hourly basis and get like 20 hours a week than have somebody in there full time who maybe we just wouldn't be able to afford top dollar for somebody full time. So I'm a big fan of using like fractional experts.
I love that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Where'd the name come from? How did you drum up? I'm always fascinated by names. Like you hear of like the Nikes, the Amazons, the Ubers of the world, which now sound amazing. But day one of Amazon, day one of Nike, day one of Uber, those names are just silly names in a group chat, you know?
Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned Nike because that is one of the inspirations for the name. So before I took Arabic and Mandarin, I took Latin for basically my entire
God, you are basically Rosetta Stone over here.
I will say
this is unbelievable.
Languages were like extremely difficult for whatever reason. Like I don't do well with, I'm a very visual learner, but I cannot learn things well just processing it through like listening.
Yeah, totally.
And so anything conversational, that Arabic and Mandarin were very, because Latin, you don't really speak it when you're learning it. Like we're reading like the Aeneid and it's all basically written. So when I had to switch to a spoken language, it was tough to try and just process. It's like, I don't know, it's like rubbing your head and like tapping your stomach at the same time. So yeah, I had a strong background in Latin, and through that I got exposed to like kind of Greek mythology side of things. And I don't think a lot of people know this, but the name Nike is actually a reference to Greek mythology.
Really?
Yeah. So the story of the genesis of where the marathon event came from. Basically, this battle was fought, I believe, on the plains of Marathon, and this messenger, he ran 26.2 miles allegedly to deliver the news to some king or queen about the fact that they won. And the Nike word, the Greek word for victory is Nike. So he said, legend says he said Nike, and then he just dies on the spot. So the guy that ran the first marathon died running the first marathon. But Nike is also the Greek goddess of victory, which is where, if you read the book Shoe Dog, which is the memoir of the founder, Phil Knight, founder of Nike, that's where he got the name for Nike.
Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of people.
That's amazing.
And I always liked that there was like kind of that deeper meaning to it. That like if you knew, you knew. And so similarly, I was like, all right, I like Greek mythology. Like what else is there that I can pull from?
Here we go.
And so Atlas is the Titan of endurance. He's the guy like at Rockefeller Center. He's like holding the earth on his shoulders for all eternity.
A great desk ornament you see all the time is that guy with the earth. Yeah,
exactly. And I was like, I mean, that checks the boxes. It's like a timeless name. It represents something. And I was like, why not? So that's where the name came from.
I'm always fascinated by the names because like people, I think when they get into branding outside of a personal brand, trip on the name. Yeah. You know, thinking it's like the hardest part when really, like, to your point, like Nike didn't sub Greek mythology in like, you know, our history. Yeah. Nike's just Nike. Uber was just Uber. Yeah. You know, what the hell is Amazon? You know, like they were all just kind of names bumbling around up until someone scales it to someone like yourself, you know? Yeah.
It's funny that, like a lot of the names, you just take them, like you see successful companies now, and it makes sense that that's what their name is. But if you were to wind the clock back and see them in their early days, like in that book, Shoe Dog, he talks about how people, when they originally were named Blue Ribbon Sports, and then they renamed the company Nike, and people didn't know it was said Nike, so they would say it like Mike. It would be like Nike.
Oh my God.
So a lot of people just thought it was like Nike.
Got on some Nikes right now. You know?
And they were like, he says in the book, he's like, we were not at all, we didn't like say Nike and we're like, this is it. He was like, I think the phrase he says, like, maybe it'll grow on me. Mm-hmm. Like he was very uncertain about
interesting. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So the naming of a company is not at all, I feel like a lot of people think that it's like a light bulb aha moment. Right. Amazon's actually another one where Bezos initially was going to name he was going to name Amazon Abracadabra, I think. but he
Massive
decided
Harry
not
Potter
to. Yeah, because he was like, it's going to be like magic. Like
He was in
you
between
order
that or
online.
Hermione. Real toss-up.
And the reason he didn't was because somebody told him that it sounded too much like cadaver on the phone. And so he instead switched to Amazon because I think their initial tagline was like, they have as much selection as like, I don't know, the Amazon's longest river in the world. Like they have as many books as like, I don't know, there's some connection there.
Like trees in the Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah. So the name, and you also like, as Nike did with Blue Ribbon, they were Blue Ribbon for like the first like 7 or 8 years. So just because you start out as something doesn't mean you have to end up as that thing.
That's like Twitter right now. Do you see they're rebranding their logo to X?
I just saw that.
How crazy is that, huh? Did you hear about that, Hurley? Twitter is rebranding from, like the nice little bird you see to literally just this like black, white etched out X.
Are they getting scared of Threads?
I know. I think so.
Yeah.
I think Threads are you on Threads?
I downloaded it. I don't know. I think I just got caught up in the login process, and it was one of those things where I was like, this is going to take too much effort right now. So I haven't actually, I've just seen screenshots of it on Twitter, but I haven't actually been in it myself.
The scary part about Threads is when someone signs up, they can just hit a button that is follow all, and it's just saying follow everyone that I follow on Instagram.
Really?
So you can build a massive following like really fast, but it's scary because Threads is like kicking ass right now.
Is it?
They had 300 million downloads in the first like 24 hours.
Wow.
So it's like, and now I think it's up. I think it's something ridiculous. Like of everyone that has an Instagram account, it's like 95% of those people now have Threads. So a scary number of. Since I haven't spent any time on it, like what is your perception of how it differs from both Instagram and Twitter in terms of the content and like the usage of it? It's no joke. And I'm sure there'll be some crazy legal battles between Twitter and Threads. It's an exact copy of Twitter. And here's where it gets scary. Like it's user face wise, it's the same. You have your main feed, to fire out a tweet or a thread. The button's right in the middle, just like it is on Twitter. Like it moves and shakes the same way as Twitter. The scary thing is it's owned by Zuck. Who, if that one, like Twitter's the only one that's kind of it's Gilligan's Island, if you will. Has a separate owner being Elon. I mean, Zuck's got Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Snapchat. Like, there's really I don't even know who owns LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn's also a third.
Microsoft.
Is it Microsoft?
Yeah.
So you got Elon, Microsoft, and Zuck. And
you got
Zuck,
TikTok just kind of.
Yeah. Great point.
Yeah.
Who is Microsoft YouTube as well?
Google owns YouTube.
Google owns YouTube. Okay, gotcha. So you get a couple other players, but you got one guy that's controlling 4 of the 7 options out there,
Yeah.
So a little frightening, because it's very easy to then like control the media if you're the media,
Yeah. Do you have who would you prefer has like kind of the conglomerate of?
I almost, it's gonna sound crazy. I almost prefer Elon. Have one. Give Elon one.
Yeah.
Like I kind of like
just to balance things
just
out.
to balance things out. I think that's always wise. In the land of information, but but to your point, like the difference between Threads and Twitter, they're virtually the same. Like which is just. But I will say you can build a massive following on Threads. Because of that, when any one of your followers gets an account, they just hit follow all, and it's like I've been on Twitter since it came out pretty much. I think I have maybe 1,400 followers on there, like I just never use it. Threads is at like 10, 11,000. And same deal. I never really use it. It's just everyone that's coming over from Instagram is just hitting follow all, So then now like the what are they calling them? The threaders, like the creators, but on Threads can now really amass a following on Threads and double and triple down on that platform.
Build your thread count.
Yeah, that's good. That is. What's your synopsis of Threads? Do you?
I mean, I never really used Twitter that much.
Yeah,
so
same.
I had like a very busy first week trying to just like get on top of it, but I'm already kind of like lost energy.
Yeah,
like I just can't. I don't know.
I feel
up with it.
I feel the same way. It was a blitz the first like 72 hours on Threads. Everyone's going crazy.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, all right, it's a lot. There's like, because I'm like hardcore TikTok, Instagram, YouTube are like my top 3.
Yeah.
And then it's like, then Snap. And I don't even use Snap for like Snapchat. It's like you ever hear of a Spotlight before? Snapchat Spotlight?
Yeah.
We'll put a lot of like the show clips on Spotlight.
Yeah.
And now to manage like Threads and LinkedIn. And
Yeah.
It's like, it's quite literally a full-time job, you know? It's ridiculous. It's insanity.
Yeah. Which one? So do you find yourself spending more time on Threads than Twitter?
Yeah, I have a Twitter. I never like, one, my phone storage is like at max capacity right now. So when you click on Twitter, it will re-download itself. You know what? The app like offloads itself from your phone.
Yeah.
And I'm just never on it. So I'm like, I'm not gonna, you know.
Yeah. What I'm curious to see is whether Threads is more similar to like a Clubhouse or I'm trying to think of the other one that was you take a picture of what you're doing, Be Real.
Be Real, yeah.
Like if you look at their downloads, there's a massive spike and that looks like that's an indication of like this thing's going to blow up, but their retention just wasn't there.
Right.
Similar to what you mentioned before about like, yeah, somebody can buy a product for the first time, but if they don't repeat, it's the same deal with apps. Like 100%. You can download it for the first time, but if you don't use it, the app's not going to go anywhere. So
I forgot about Clubhouse.
I know.
That's such a good example.
That's what I mean. Like everyone, I remember 2 years ago, everyone was like, Clubhouse is the future. Like everyone needs to be on Clubhouse. And we were thinking, like for Atlas, we were like, should we be doing something here? And I just kind of sat on the sidelines, and I'm glad that we did, because it is not.
It fizzled out.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
So I'm curious to see if that happens with Threads, or if, because they have kind of the network effect of the ecosystem, Instagram, Facebook, they're able to avoid that, and it's actually going to have some staying power.
Yeah.
But I have no idea.
I know, it's interesting. The only thing with Threads that fascinates me for the longevity of it is you can toggle back and forth to your Instagram. Like if you're on Threads, without leaving the app, you just hit the Instagram button at the top of the screen. So it's almost, the way I imagine it, it's like Instagram's this big yacht, and then on a rope, and there's this little lifeboat, that's Threads. And it's just being pulled along by Instagram, you know? So it's like, as long as Instagram's doing well, Threads will just be a lifeboat in the wake of Instagram, you know?
Right.
Like, it's not like it's its own separate entity.
Has Elon said what are tweets going to be called if it's not on Twitter? Like what's the verb you're going to use?
That's a
I was
great
just thinking,
question.
like, I feel like that's an advantage that Twitter has in terms of our culture. It's like, did you see his tweet? Did you see what he tweeted?
Right.
Like, will that
What do you call it? Yeah.
Did he X? Has he X?
Threads is the easy one. What's their thread? Do you see his thread? You know? I'm threading.
Yeah, has that become, is that like a verb?
Oh, yeah.
It is?
Oh, yeah. The thread count one by Hurley there is nice. Well,
Thank you.
the thread count is genius, yeah. But the what do you call Twitter rebrands to X? What is it? Yeah, what would be a tweet?
No idea.
X is tough. Like, there's not.
Elon thought through that one.
Is it literally called X, or just the logo's an X?
I think he's changing it to X.
Yeah.
He it's like a throwback to when he was one of the co-founders of PayPal. He founded X.com that merged with PayPal, like back in like 2000, and he's been like sitting on that for like 20 years.
Right.
So he just has some obsession with X that I think he really wants to build this around. So I think he's moving the whole thing to X.
I'm Xavering, is what it's now going to be called. I believe, is it his child's name? X dash all these things? Like, I believe it starts with an X, right?
It does, yeah. Yeah, I'm not.
You're right. He's got this fetish. Elon Musk has got an X fetish.
SpaceX. Yeah.
What the hell does X mean? I want answers.
I think he just likes letters. I don't think it goes like any deeper than that. I just think it's his cool letter.
I wonder if this crazy like star constellation he's found in the sky.
Might be.
Maybe that's his mothership, because Elon is clearly an alien, you know? So maybe he goes home to Planet X, you know?
Yeah, it could be a message, a hidden message.
Could be, hidden message in plain sight to be the perfect crime, you know? Fascinating stuff. Back to Atlas, all right? Also in the stars of star constellations,
That's
you know?
true.
So could be maybe there's a hidden message in there that we're trying to decode here, you know?
Maybe.
Could be what's on your radar? Like, what are you seeing? I'm always fascinated with guys like yourself who are heavy entrepreneurs. They've gone down the path of of loneliness with the fails and triumphs and are now prospering. And what's on your radar? Like, what outside of Atlas, what are you interested in? And then what are you seeing in the category of Atlas, like as maybe direct competitor, or, hey, we're going to pivot to this down the line for Atlas?
Yeah. So in terms of what I do outside of Atlas right now, we got a lot going on. So usually I spend a good amount of time it's stuff that I would say is fairly boring, like reading, run a lot, as we talked about a little bit.
Yes, we gotta get to that too.
A little bit off there. What I do in my free time is usually just doing like fun, hard things that I think are most people probably wouldn't consider fun, but I just get a kick out of doing them, like that challenge.
He did 100. And you could probably word this way better than I can, but it was 100-mile challenge only eating Atlas bars.
I did, yeah. So the purpose of that, so this actually is a good segue into Atlas. I just think that there are a lot of companies that sell things that they don't necessarily stand behind.
Right.
Like, for example, would the CEO of McDonald's comfortably eat McDonald's every single day, or feed it to their kids every single day?
Right.
Like, is what you're sharing and creating for other people, is it actually something that you yourself can like 100% stand behind? And so I was like, all right, how do I prove that? All right, well, what if I only ate my product for a week? Okay, like that sounds cool, but how could I like add another level to it? And I was like, all right, well, what if I did something physically hard to show that like not only can you only eat this, but you can also like it can fuel you to do some pretty difficult things. So yeah, over a 6-day period, ran 100 miles. It was about 17 miles a day. And I think I had I only ate bars.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Just the bars.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yeah, much to my fiance's chagrin. Only bars. I had like 71 bars over the course of those 6 days. Wow. And
what were the results? Like how are you feeling internally after that?
So I was feeling good like during it. I actually felt like shockingly good because I had never done anything like that. I had done some tough runs, but I had never done anything that was near just running that volume just on protein bars. So I actually felt very good. Like the last day, I was supposed to do it in 7 days, but I was feeling pretty good on the last day. So I just knocked out, I think I did 26 miles on the last day, and I only ate 5 bars that day. So I was feeling solid. And then afterwards, definitely took some time for the body to recover after that, like it would with, anytime you run that kind of
100%.
volume. I didn't specifically train for that. Like I had a pretty good cardio base, but I wasn't I kind of decided to do it like the week before.
Wow.
I wasn't like 6 months out, like I'm going to do this. I was like,
how David Goggins of you. Oh my God.
I was just like, let's just Jesus. I don't think I'm going to be like physically endangering myself from this. So, and I think I can just like push through it. It might suck at some points, but I think I can get through it. So
that's incredible. And how's the fiance feel overall? Like, is she I got to assume she's ride or die if she's on this journey with you?
Very much so. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Actually, fiance as of a week and like a half ago.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. So very recent.
Oh my God. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, it's finally happening.
It is.
Love is in the air. Did you lock down? Is she now on your ass of like, hey, I know you're running, just plowing through these bars. What if we just plow through wedding planning? Is she on your ass?
I was actually more on it than she was.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so Friday night is when I proposed to her. And then Saturday morning, I got up super early. I was up at like 3 just because I woke up and I was like, I'm not going to be able to go back to sleep. Yep. So I just started like looking through stuff. And by the time she woke up at 7, I was like, all right, I got a band, I got a date.
Damn.
And she was like, am I invited to this? Am I part of this? Yeah. So I was more, more on than she was. Yeah.
Look at him reversing the social norm of ladies planning everything and the groom just shows up. This is gonna be the opposite.
Yeah. I was just like, if we're going to do this, like, let's get going.
Wow. See, that is spoken like a true entrepreneur right there. Yeah. Powering through.
Yeah.
Do we have a wedding date? Is there a set date yet?
Thinking somewhere next fall. Haven't pegged it down exactly. I threw one out there. we're workshopping it right now.
There we go. Yeah.
But we have a general ballpark date. Yeah.
Wow. Good for you guys.
Yeah.
I love that.
Very excited.
We did the same thing. I proposed back in March.
Oh, nice.
And then
Congrats.
it was like, thank you. It was like the next week. We literally planned a wedding start to finish in basically like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Really?
Lockdown.
That's crazy.
We saw one venue in Boston, loved it. And we're like, luckily she's like me, like I can make decisions unbelievably fast.
Yeah.
You know, and if we need to course correct, we'll course correct.
So you planned the whole thing in 2 weeks?
Literally 2 weeks. Yeah. Top to bottom.
That's flipping on its head. 'Cause
Yeah.
most people are like, this is like a year and a half process.
And then we scaled it up to, the first thing we did was lock down a date. So I said, she always wanted a December wedding, which I was like, perfect. That's
Any reason?
We have so much. There's her birthday, my mom's birthday, her mom's birthday,
Just throw it all.
Jesus' birthday. And she was like, we should get married in the middle. So
not?
it's December this year. She's always wanted like a winter wedding.
Yeah.
Or a winter themed wedding. So it's December this year. So once we locked down a date, it was like, okay, cool. We found the venue. Miraculously, they had the same date available.
Yeah.
And then, we cranked everything out, catering. Hurley right here is going to be on the ones and twos for that, the DJ.
Nice.
Yep. So keeping it close, which is nice. Literally like a week and a half, top to bottom, from like photographer, sending out invites, even like having is it the save the date? Yeah, the save the date.
Were you, for that week and a half, were you like how much time were you committing? Were you like dialed in, or was it just
honestly,
more like casual?
I thought it was going to be like, okay, I'm going to be dialed in for like a month.
Yeah.
From waking up to going to bed. It was like hour, maybe 2 hours a day for a week and a half.
Really?
Because we'd go see a venue. We saw this one venue. We were like, this is it.
Yeah.
We negotiated for like maybe 20, 30 minutes in person while we were there on the price. Locked it in, signed, right there. And then it was like shortly after that, everything started falling into place, That same day, we then drove to the church. We're like, do you have this date available? Sure enough, they did.
I love that.
Signed, put the deposit in right then and there. Like everything was. So in a day, we had church, venue, and with the venue comes all the food. They do everything like in-house. So we had the catering taken care of. And then at the time, it was like, okay, we need music. Boom, Hurley on the ones and twos. Easy answer. It wasn't even a thought. It was like, well, we'll just talk to Hurley, And then it was like guest lists. We have this like big spreadsheet.
Yeah, what do you
punched everyone in?
What's the approximate?
It'll be
decision, right?
It'll be 150 is where we're at right now.
I feel like that's a standard solid number.
100%. Which is crazy. Like when you sit down with 150 blank cells in a spreadsheet, you're like, this is going to take forever. And before you know it, we were at like 130, and I'm like, damn. And that was like 130 with just like,
might have to start making cuts.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, wow, I thought we'd be, I thought that would be the biggest thing, going over guest list, but that was probably 2 hours. And then the food, they sent us like a catalog of like what you want on the menu.
Yeah.
Picked, the 4 or 5 different options. We're going to try those like in 2 weeks or something like that. But yeah, it wasn't as, I probably could have done it in 2. Honestly, I probably could have done it in 2 or 3 full days.
Really? You got to put like a guide together or something because you're just flipping the paradigm on its head right now.
Yeah, look at that. 2 dudes flipping the script on, you basically planned your whole wedding for your fiance. Me and my fiance luckily we were the same people. Like there was no like butting heads.
Yeah.
She was like, what do you think of this? I was like, go for that, go for that. And I was like, what do you think of this? She was like, oh, I love it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, look at that. Love is in the air, people.
It's true.
Right? Entrepreneurship and love is what this episode should be called, potentially, Something to think about. What is next for Atlas Bar?
Yeah, so we got a couple of launches coming up, which is why a lot of my time is going to Atlas right now. So we're actually launching nationwide into Vitamin Shop in like 2 or 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're launching in there with our first like real limited flavor. I should have brought it today. It's space.
Oh, I think I saw this on the website. Was it the?
Yeah. So it's space flavored. And so it'll be exclusively in Vitamin Shop, 700 stores, starting in a couple weeks. And yeah, very excited for that launch.
Let's go.
That flavor is very unique. The reason that we did it was because like there's no market data that's like people want a space flavored bar.
Moon dust.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I was just like, I think this is cool to do. Nobody else is doing anything like this. And I think I talked to my mom. I was like, there's like some science behind it,
Right.
as to how we came up with the flavor. It wasn't just like we just pulled, just like made up what the flavor was.
Right.
And so like kind of the story behind it is that a couple of years ago, some scientists, they were able to isolate some molecule in some space cloud, and basically they realized that molecule is like the same molecule in like raspberries. And so space, allegedly, according to these astronomers, should taste something like raspberry, at least this cloud.
Really?
So yeah, it's like a raspberry mojito type.
And when they say that,
flavor.
like if you were traveling through space, you just stuck your tongue out.
Yeah, I think you'd probably die. If you managed to overcome that, maybe you'd taste some raspberries.
Before death, you'd be like, that is a raspberry if I've ever tasted space before. Wow.
So yeah, excited to launch that because we've never done anything like that before. So just excited to see how that's kind of received. It's on our site and on Amazon now, but it hasn't gone into any stores. And then we got a couple of other retailers that we're excited about that we're launching in. I don't know if I can say them yet. It might be a little bit too far out.
Totally.
And yeah, we also just kind of did this rebrand where we kind of changed our whole look, and we made the product. We basically took the elements of the product that we knew people really liked and improved on them.
Right.
So until this point, we actually had 15 grams of protein and 1 gram of sugar in the bar, and we bumped that 15 to 20 as of like a month ago.
Gotcha. Okay.
And to me, that's a bit of a shift because for whatever reason, like 20 is kind of when it comes to protein specifically, like that seems to be a magic number.
Yeah. You see people. It most commonly, I feel like.
Yeah. Like there's just a difference between like, the difference between 18 and 20 is much bigger than the difference between 16 and 18.
Yeah.
Even though it's still just 2 grams, there's just something about being at that 20 threshold that just like clicks in your head. So we're excited about that product kind of improvement, and then the rebranding that we did to kind of go with that. And all of that is like just out really this month for the first time. So we're just starting to see the impacts of that kind of on the business's trajectory.
Nice.
And it looks good so far.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And where are you now where can people find you if they're out and about?
Yeah. So
retail?
we're in about like 2,000 locations total. So in the Southeast, Publix, in Texas, HEB, in the Southwest, and kind of spread around the South, the Sprouts Farmers Market, which is it's like a Whole Foods. Stop and Shop in the Northeast. We'll be in Vitamin Shop soon. So yeah, we're pretty spread out around the country. And yeah, it just depends on what region you're in. But yeah, working on more distribution is kind of the name of the game.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
How do you, I'm always fascinated about the exit strategy in business.
Yeah.
For Atlas, do you see yourself riding this out for the rest of your days? Is there an exit plan down the road if the right number was approached to you? Or is there an exit strategy in place for Atlas?
Yeah, I think it's a tough question to answer because the question is essentially like, where are you going to be at mentally in like 5 or 10 years, and predicting kind of what my goals are down the line, I feel like is going to be tough to do. So yeah, I mean, there's really 2 options you have if you're running a business. It's either you continue to run it and build it and own it, or you sell it to somebody or exit it somehow. And right now, I'm pretty divided on which path to take. I love what I'm doing. Yeah. I'm just like as long as I love what I'm doing, as long as I really feel fired up, like I woke up at like 4:30 this morning and just like started doing stuff, not because I felt obligated to, but just because I wanted to. I was just like, I want to do this. Yep. Like, yeah, it's just so fun to me. As long as I have that feeling, like I just want to keep
ride it out.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That is so there's some stat out there where it's like 75% of people in business in particular hate the field they're in. Yeah. Whatever that might be. And for some, that's entrepreneurship. They might be this, the founder, CEO of a company or brand, like I'm sure they're not, but like a McDonald's, to your point, like I think you're right. Morally, it's like, I don't love being love the cash flow and love my, checks. But so to find someone like yourself who loves the business you're in and found a healthy option in a market where I think you're spot on. Like for me, up until recently, I had those Gatorade bars. Yeah. The thick chocolate ones that are like,
you got to watch out for those ones.
Yeah. So I'm not a big label guy whatsoever. Like like my metabolism is, I can definitely tell, is taking its turn. So now I'm like starting to be more health conscious of that. But like in college, we used to do like dirty bulking, you know, because I couldn't keep weight
Nothing
on.
like a good dirty bulk.
Yeah, exactly. I just could not. I was playing football and stuff, just couldn't keep weight on.
Yeah.
And so we would dirty bulk, and it's like you look at those Gatorade bars, and there's 1,000 others like that where it's like they taste great, and then you start looking like the sugar that's in there.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa. I think those are like 32 grams of protein. I think it's either 11 or 15 grams of sugar or something like that.
Some of them, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm pretty sure for the Gatorade ones in particular, I think they're north of 20. They might be north of 25. Yeah, because I remember looking, that was one of the brands that I remember looking at when I was like kind of doing research, and it struck me that like this I'm pretty sure has more sugar than like a Snickers bar in it, like legitimately.
Right, yeah.
But it's just positioned in a way like Gatorade, people trust the brand, they associate it with whatever LeBron and
exactly right.
That's kind of one of the examples where it doesn't make me feel, it feels a little misleading.
Yeah, 100%.
You're selling a product that has more sugar in it than a candy bar, but you're just putting the faces of famous athletes on it to make people think that it's gonna
power
give
of marketing.
Results. Yeah.
There's a guy on TikTok I'll just share with you. He will take any brand, all his videos, he's huge. I think he's got 10 or 11 million on TikTok.
Yeah.
He'll take any brand and he'll create a new logo with all the nutritious truths about it, but it'll always be spun in a healthy, positive way.
I think I've seen that.
It's amazing. I think
something to do with like Reese's or
something. Yeah, exactly right. That's the guy. And it's like legally he's correct, you know, in what he's saying. And it looks, Reese's was the one I first saw too.
Yeah.
And it's like this like you know, protein filled, you know, Reese's cup, and it looks amazing. The packaging looks great, you know?
Yeah, I thought that was actually pretty good. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if Reese's like
I know,
took some creative inspiration from this guy.
If I was at the grocery store and while I'm checking out, I see a Reese's bar that's packaged like that, it says like packed with protein and whatever it was, gluten-free, all this other crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, you might as well try it out. It's healthy, you know?
Yeah, it's funny because even though I'm like in the space, like that stuff still definitely works on me.
Totally, absolutely.
Like Red Bull gives you wings, that works on me.
Hello,
like, it gives me wings.
How healthy is a Celsius? I get a real hankering for Celsius, and I know they're a totally different category.
Yeah.
God, I love those things. They are just.
I've definitely dabbled in. I've had like Celsius, Bangs, Red Bulls. Yep. I haven't had anything recently, but for whatever reason, Celsius more than the others, it makes my face feel like it's gonna fall off.
Yeah,
and I don't love that.
Those Bangs, slippery slope.
Those do as well. Yeah,
those are like 300 milligrams of caffeine.
Yeah, I've toned it down. Most recently, I went just back to the Red Bull because Red Bull, they've just done a phenomenal job with their marketing. Most people don't realize this, but if you were to get a large coffee from Starbucks, that's going to have like 3 times as much caffeine as a Red Bull. But like, imagine if I told you at 9 a.m. that I was drinking a Red Bull, you'd be like, dude, what's going on? But if you're like,
okay?
If you'd see me at the venti coffee, you're like, oh, guys just got a coffee.
Oh, no whipped cream on that? Yeah. Why would you have the whipped cream? Yeah.
Even though the Red Bull has like significant, like it has the same amount of caffeine as like 2 cups of green tea, but they've just done such a tremendous job in convincing people that it gives you wings, that people think it's this elixir that'll put you on the moon.
Right. That's spot on. Power of branding. Yeah. I should have brought some up. Are you a coffee guy?
Yeah. I love coffee.
I'll have to load you up.
I absolutely love that.
I should have brought I gotta like keep a like storage locker here of product, you know? We should have done that. But where can I want to make sure we plug you up for anyone watching. Where can they not only find your product, but find you on social and everything like that before we? Yeah,
sure. So my personal is Mighty Jolly.
Love it.
So my first name's James. My last name's Oliver.
Is that the gamer tag as well?
No, my gamer tag was Wise Gorilla, actually.
There it is.
Yeah, so James Oliver got shortened to Jolliver, which got shortened to Jolly. So that's where the Jolly comes from. So that's personal. And then Atlas Bars is where all things Atlas is.
Hell yeah. Perfect. James, stud, Atlas Bar, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for coming on the No Limits podcast.